Yeah, I think that'll need a good stiff one. Anyway, as I was saying, when I was working with Benedict Cumberbatch, I was saying to him, Benny, because we call him Benny, Benny love, you need to change your name because it sounds like Cucumber Patch. You're not going to get anywhere with a name like that. No, mark my words. Anyway, oh, what's that? Oh, the scriptwriters have gone on strike again. Got to go on. Sorry love, got to go. Don't forget my beauty spot. Righto. Give that back to hair and makeup. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage, where in this video we're going to be doing some more work on the Bantam. And hello to my regular viewers, thanks for coming back, you lunatics. And any new viewers, hello, pleased to have you aboard. And if you're interested in the Bantam, I'll put a link to the playlist down below so you can find some other videos on it. Yeah, so let's get on. As you can see, the engine is out of the Bantam, so that's what this video is about. Taking it out, getting it out of the frame, and then starting to tear it down. I'd like to say the news is good. It's reasonable, it's not too bad, but it sort of demonstrates the abuse that these machines used to get in their day and their sort of reputation they got for being unreliable, where I think it was a bit unfair sometimes. I think sometimes it was just down to lack of knowledge, lack of money, lack of tools, and things got damaged. And anyway, this has got a little bit of history of some mechanical maladies going on, but it's okay. It's sort of run with these problems, so I think a little clean up, new bearings, put it back together, it will be lovely. It will run for, you know, another load of years without any problem. So come along and have a look. First we're going to go outside, get the engine in. I know it's in already, but you know, video time, and then we'll start stripping it down. And then at the end, I will sort of take you round and show you some of these sort of little things that have been going on, and more things that we will see in the next one when I tear it right apart. Okay, come along then, let's go this way. The next job to tackle on the Bsa Bantam project is to remove the engine. For those who haven't been following the videos, who haven't seen the earlier videos, there's a couple of reasons for this. The first reason is when kicking the bike over on the kickstart, not every time, but yeah, just there, you see, sometimes it catches and it locks and you can't kick it over anymore. The only way to sort of shift it is sort of pop it in gear and just bounce it backwards and forwards, and then it will go round again, or just bounce it sometimes and it'll click over. But you just get this thing where it locks. There, locks. No matter what force you put on it, it won't go over. So I suspect there's either a bit of wear on it, one of the pulls or the gear, or maybe a damaged tooth, and it's sort of just catching the top of it rather than meshing with it properly. So that needs investigating, because it's quite annoying when it does that. And then the other thing is, you may have seen me get it running, and it was running very well, but the trouble is when I went to start it again, I just couldn't get it to start. And I think what happened was, where it was standing, it had loads of gunk around the seals, just enough to give enough back pressure to get it to start and run no trouble at all. But once it had fresh fuel running through it, it just sort of washed all that gunk away, and then the crankcase pressure just disappeared, and you get no draw on the carburetor, and it was just really difficult to start. The only way to start it was to literally flood it, and then it would run on that fuel that sort of dropped down into the crankcases and got forced round. But once that had been used up, then it just died and it wouldn't start again. You had to do the same thing. So that's the two reasons. So it's got to come out, and to get it out, it's not too bad. Tank off, which I've already done. Rear chain guard off, shouldn't be too bad. Loosen the bolt at the back already when I was having a little look around to see if it came off. So that's got to come off. Got to undo the exhaust nut with a C-spanner. I've got a C-spanner that fits that, and probably loosen the clamp down the bottom end to swivel the pipe out of the way. And then disconnect the carburetor cables coming into the top of the carb. I mean, I could just sort of take the top of the carb off and leave it hanging down, but I've got to put new ones on anyway, so I might as well disconnect them. Disconnect the HT lead, probably take the spark plug out just so we don't knock it when we're moving the engine around. Drain the gearbox oil whilst it's in the frame, just makes life a bit easier. And then undo the 4 engine bolts, well 3 on this because one's missing, so 2 here, 2 at the back, and disconnect the points lead coming out, and then it should just be a case of lifting the engine up and out the frame. So I'm going to get on and do it. I've told you it now so that I don't have to tell you whilst I'm doing it grunting and groaning. Okay, let's get on and do it. Okay, let's start stripping this down. Get some of these bits and bobs out of the way. Kickstart and gear lever. Right, that's that one. Just needs to draw all the way out because it's got a indexing groove in it. There we go. Okay, remove all these. Cool. One, two. Oh. Not having any oil in it. Let's see what muck we got in here. There we go. Clutch assembly, primary chain, sprockets. Actually, they look quite nice. Looks like a new sprocket on there. Kickstart gear. Looks good. Can't see any broken teeth on that. And we've got to remove this, and how you do that is you undo the screw so far and then it should act as a puller, a bit like on the Excelsior and on the flywheel. You should sort of pop the points cam off. So they don't look too bad. I've got a new one to go in, so change it whilst we're in there anyway. Okay. Take the carb off as well so it doesn't get knocked. Washers. Right, there we go. Put them back on there. Well, they're all undoing. too bad. Push it up the top for you. And surprise in the head, somebody's dropped something in it at some time. That's okay, that'll clear up. Somebody's dropped a bolt or something in there, look, sort of a head print there, tail print there. Not sure if that was this. Yeah, this piston's got a few little marks on it. Okay. Well, I don't know whether that's long gone or floating around somewhere. We shall find out. Right, loosen these two off. Trusty old Blackbush Market impact driver. There we go. Trusty old impact driver. There we go. One barrel. Which doesn't look too bad actually. Looks okay. A bit of light scoring. A light hone, maybe a new set of rings. You're ready to go again. And whatever was in there may have fallen down the exhaust port, which is quite large. Can you see? I can't see. Yes. Rings are okay. Not broken. This looks okay. Bit of polishing there. Just clean it up a bit. What the tuning boys used to. Just rub it down where it rubs and then it'll run lovely. It'll clatter like a bugger, but it'll run lovely. Like so. There it comes. And the alternator, hold the case in place around the front. Marvellous. Go. And there's the clutch mechanism we were struggling to get the cable out of. It's got that lozenge shape dowel that slides in this way and locates and then twists round, so you need to sort of line it up and then move it out to get it out. That's why I was struggling with it. That's why I struggled to get the clutch cable out. You've got this sort of rectangular shaped bar that goes in the arm here, but you need to get it in and round that way before it will slot in and then come round like that. So the trouble is you can't see what you're doing. You need to sort of move it all the way towards the back of the bike before it will slide out like that. One circlip. It's old circlip again. Oh, circlip. So glad you could join us again. On the other side. Oh, they were loose this side. Weren't even in the groove. Disaster averted. Pretty tight. Warm the piston up a bit, see if it'll slide out. So let's release it. There we go. I'll just mark on there what the front is. There we go. Mark the inside as well, just in case it gets rubbed off. Mark the back as well. What we'll do is stuff this little end bearing with paper. Stop any crap going in it, keep it clean. It was clean before I shoved it in, that's just my dirty finger marks. There we go. Doesn't seem to be any play in the main bearing, which is good news, so I don't have to split the crank. All seems pretty good. Just got to get further into it now. Okay, so let's have a look at the damage that we've found so far. First thing here is somebody's been merrily hammering away on the kickstart shaft, which takes some doing because these are hardened apparently, so whether they've, when it's been out, they've used it as a hammer, I can't see any reason for causing this sort of damage on it. Yeah, and I don't know whether it's sort of worn the casing as well, where it runs in the casing. There's two options. There's some new old stock ones that I've found I could order. I might do that. Or the other reason is just to sort of, you know, stone these down so they're not sitting proud and causing a problem. Usual wear on the clutch basket here, where they've been, the clutch plates have been banging against the basket and made little indents. Need to get rid of these because it causes the clutch to stick. So might stick it on the mill actually, and just stick it on the mill and just, you know, run a mill down there just to clean those edges up, and they'll be good again. Kickstart. Now I said to you that the kickstart jams occasionally. I think we found the problem. Hang on, I'm going to hold you and move you. See, I don't know if you can see that. See that up and down movement? It sounds like that outer bearing is completely shot. It's not the sleeve bearing on the. that shaft, it's all over the place. And I think with the timing chain pulling it this way, just allows too much of a clearance, and then the initial gear, if you can see down there, not quite, so I'll get you back there. When that comes up there, if you push this over by hand, you can get that gear to sit on top of these other teeth, and that's where it sort of jams, and until we can move this over. So I think a new bearing will sort that kickstart problem out. And then we had these witness marks of a disaster in the cylinder head, and I said initially that it looked like a little bolt had got in there, but when you look closer you can tell that's definitely the end of the screw, the threaded end, where it's sort of bounced upright and been hammered into the cylinder head. And then this is the head of it, and it's a countersunk screw. There's a little bit of damage on the piston there, but it hasn't gone beyond the crown, and they're quite thick old pistons, so I'm not too concerned about that. We just clean that up a bit. Yeah, it shouldn't cause pre-ignition or anything. Not sure about so much here. These little dimples, they will affect your compression ratio just a tiny amount. Whether it'll make much difference on a Bantam, I don't know. Might think about just welding those back, and then grinding the surface back to level with the rest of the squish on the cylinder head there. But yeah, if anybody's had to go at welding these heads, what sort of quality aluminium they are, be interesting to know before I sort of have a go at it. So yeah, so there was a screw. Now, where did the screw come from? Oh, well, gather round, children. Let's have a look. See if I can get you above there. Now we've got another problem here. Let's get a torch on the side. Trouble is, I'm running out of hands. Right. There. So, you can see the con rod here. Just there on the web. It's been rubbing on the crankshaft from there to about there. So I didn't want to take the crank apart, but I may well have to check the straightness of the connecting rod, or it could be that the flywheels have got knocked out of true with the impact of the screw above the piston, which would explain, if you look back on previous videos. So the problem I was having was with the alternator, trying to get the clearance between the stator and the rotor, and it looked like the rotor was oval because it was really tight in one place, but that tight spot would move around with the rotor all the way around. But if the crank has been knocked out of true, that could be a reason why I wasn't getting this clearance. So that's something that needs checking. But you say, why was it knocked out of true? Where did the screw come from? Well, those that know Bantams will already be screaming at the TV. If you look down here, can you see that scuffed edge, that swarfed over edge on the side of the crankcase there? And then you can see sort of on the inside face there's a groove running round, or a shoulder running round. Well, that is sort of damage caused from a countersunk screw that has come out of here. Now what these cranks have, stuffer plates mounted on the side of the crank webs, because the web casting has got hollows in it. So to reduce the amount of volume in the crankcase, they put these stuffer plates on the side of the crank, each side. Originally they were riveted, and they used to come unriveted and fall off. Then they were screwed, and then the screws come out. And then later they were welded. Unfortunately, this crank, whether it's been replaced at some time or whether this is an earlier B175, this one has screwed on stuffer plates. Well, it did have screwed on stuffer plates. It's got the stuffer plate this side, You can't really see it. Hang on a minute. Oh yeah, there you can, there you can. Let me get you in. See there? There's a screw there just holding the plate on the side of the crank. So if you look down this side, you can see a hole, a screw hole, and you can see a recess for the stuffer plate, but there's no stuffer plate. So what has happened is the screws have come out and then run round the crankcase, and they've probably chewed up the stuffer plate, and then one of the screws has come up through the port, up through the transfer port, come out here, landed on top of the piston as it was coming up, get smacked against the cylinder head a few times, and then probably sort of got blown out through the exhaust port here to stop causing any more damage. But I think the bike probably stopped quite rapidly if the stuffer plate was sort of rattling around inside the crankcases. So I think it's been apart because the stuffer plate has gone, so somebody's been in here, done that. Whether they've checked everything else, I don't know. But to be honest with you, there was no play on the small end, no play on the big end, and the main bearings are pretty good. It's just this gearbox bearing that's shot to pieces. And then the last issue we can find is not uncommon to Bantams, especially as they're cheap transport and used and abused. Somebody obviously ran the chain until it was beyond any help at all, and it snapped, and it's smashed this piece of the crankcase out. You can see there, a new piece of plate has been welded back in. Not a bad job, so I think that's crisis averted. So I may sort of, when I've got these cases apart, check the trueness of this face along here and along the top there. Just check there's no gaps, because there was a lot of muck in here. So it could have been, I thought it was coming from this seal here, but it could have been coming, there might be an air gap there, you know, just chain lube, and that is getting thrown in between the gaps. So see if I can sort that out. So those are the only problems found so far, but we'll have to wait and see till we split the crankcases and have a look inside and see if there's any other horrors. So there you go, progress on the Bantam. It's being made. Yeah, could have done without those issues, but you know, they're old bikes, these things happen, and it's all part of its history. So yeah, join us next time when I'll sort of get the cases apart and we'll see, you know, how bad the scoring and that is inside. And the other mystery is sort of where the gearbox oil's disappeared to, whether it was drained out or whether there's a hole somewhere and it's been feeding on it, you know, sort of because there's lots of oil in the crankcase when you move the crank around. So yeah, or whether that's just down to the seals that are completely knackered and it's just sucking the gearbox oil through. But we shall find out. When we get in there, I'll show you how the main bearings get their oil. They're not like sort of Japanese two-strokes. Japanese two-strokes tend to have the bearings, the main bearings, and then the crank seals on the outside, so that the bearings are lubricated with your oil premix, lubricating those bearings. But the way it's done on the Bantam engine is the crank seals are next to the crank, and then the bearings sit outside of that, so they don't get the premix oil. What they get is they've got little drillings from inside the gearbox where the oil splashes in, dribbles down, lubricates those bearings, and then dribbles back out the bottom. Okay, so once we get it all apart, we can sort of check whether there's any sort of major holes, but I suspect it's probably just the seals are completely shot to pieces, and hopefully a new set of seals will cure the problem. Okay, so till next time, see you again. If you like the video, give us a little like, and if you want to sort of see more of this, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you again. Okay, right, I'm off, see ya. Right, where do I put my beauty spot? as you can see, engine is out. Do you have to? That's what I have to put up with. I'll put a playlist down below of the videos. Playlist below, down the videos. Yeah, I think that I need a good stiff one. Anyway, when it was right. If it's interesting you,